Welcome to the Coriolis Effect with Cory Oliver.
Hi guys, I'm Cory Oliver. Thanks for watching the Coriolis Effect. Please hit the subscribe button below, and we hope you like this episode. Hi guys, we wanted to announce that like many podcasters, we just started a Patreon account. Visit our page at patreon.com/the Coriolis Effect. We have 5 different levels of membership and offer early access to episodes, behind the scenes footage, bonus episodes, shoutouts, and much more, including personal phone calls, questions and answer sessions, and live chats with Bob and me. That's patreon.com/the Coriolis Effect. So Bob, I'm very excited today to try this drink. It is called Brizo.
Brizo, okay.
Yes, and it is a health drink, and it has a lot of natural ingredients. 2 of them are apple cider vinegar, which I love, and Manuka honey, which is straight from New Zealand. There's only 3 grams of sugar in this. That is amazing. This one is actually called Berry Beet. This one is pineapple turmeric. Oddly enough, I just put turmeric in my coffee this morning. Yes, I can taste the turmeric in that. These are all really good. I predict this being a big, huge hit. These are fantastic. It's on Amazon. You can get these on Amazon.
And they come in variety packs, or you can buy 1 pack of a single thing, or you can get the 4-pack.
Oh, no, I'm going to go on Amazon and get these. Brizos. These are fantastic. Thank you. Well, they knocked it out of the park on this. Brizo.
It's been a year and a half, so yes.
0 fat, 0 cholesterol, barely any carbohydrates, 3 grams of sugar. It has vitamin D, which is, right now it's big. We should all be taking vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, and vitamin C. Done. I'm getting this. This is a fantastic drink. Thank you.
Glad you like it.
Brizo. 4 different flavors. Berry beet, pineapple turmeric, ginger lemon, and pomegranate hibiscus. Wonderful. Tastes great. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Cory. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. Anything new to discuss?
Not really. Really, honestly, today's guest, I'm very excited about. Always excited about our guests. I'm so grateful for all of them that have come on the show. But today, That's
called covering your bases, by the way. But go ahead.
It's not. I am truly grateful, as are you, that we're on our 50.
That's called speaking for somebody else, but okay, go ahead.
You just, whatever it's called today, Bob, you just let them all know what it's called.
Showbiz
That's
terms.
called interrupting.
Showbiz terms.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But today's guest is a TikTok phenomenon. She is one of my favorite people on TikToks. And honestly, when she started this, I've been an original fan of hers. And I can't even tell you how excited I am to hear her testimony and dive into her life and her story. Because I just know a few little things from, what she's shared on TikTok, which is a lot. She does have a testimony. I'll let her share it. But
And her name is?
Name is Elizabeth.
Okay. Just Elizabeth?
And she has a last name. I'll let her tell you. But she is, she's brought a lot of joy to my life during this whole thing that we've been going through with this pandemic and all of that. She's just really has. I literally she'll pop up on my TikTok and I'll forward her videos to like 6 of my friends and they all love her. And then my best friend said, why don't you just reach out to her and see if she'll come on the show? And I did, and she said yes.
And she lives locally.
And so I'm so grateful for everyone to meet her and see her and hear her story. And I'm just very excited about it.
Well, good.
So, how are you?
I'm well. Got a nice little story for you. So you read yesterday about the police chases in our neighborhood?
Oh, hang on. My shirt's not clipped. I thought I felt a breeze back there. Oddly enough, the AC is on.
Oh, now you're cold? You're always
No.
too hot.
I'm not cold, but I was like, why is this? Okay, that's better. Okay,
So you heard about the police chase yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently there was a theft at, I believe, the Camarillo outlets.
Yeah, it came up on my Nextdoor app.
Right. And they came down to Westlake, and they were at the Devon Shopping Center, and apparently the bad guys ran into the CVS pharmacy, and I happened to be in the CVS pharmacy, but I didn't see them.
What?
Yeah. So I didn't see them. I had left the pharmacy, then I went to meet Irina at Vaughn's, and Irina had to go to the bank, and all of a sudden we come out, and there's like 10 cops cars all over the place. So I was kind of far away, maybe the other end of the parking lot of CVS, and I saw a police officer, and he's out in complete gear with 3 rifles strapped around him. And I said, that doesn't look good. He said, no, we're chasing some suspects that robbed him.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, is that you literally had an M16. I said, does that fire beanbags? He goes, no, it's a real gun. I said, I said, oh, and I'm about 10, 15 feet away. I said, oh, can I just see the muzzle? It looked like better. He goes, sir, we're chasing some bad guys here. Could you just drive along? I'm like, sorry, officer. So
I
this
mean, what
guy's
are you
like
thinking?
in the act of chasing bad guys, and I'm like, hey, stop and have a conversation
Yeah,
with
this
me.
isn't the Coriolis effect. You can't like
Let's
interview
take two more
him.
questions before you handcuff that guy.
What do you think? You're the host now?
Yeah, right. I should have asked him to be on the show. We should
You're
do that.
hilarious.
We should get a beat walking cop or a police
Yeah.
officer on the show and talk to him about how he feels with what's going on these days.
Yeah. I know it's been a rough go. We
That would
can't
be a
even go into
very,
all of
very
that,
good
but
interview.
I'm very excited about our guest.
Okay. Well,
See you in a
we'll listen for the doorbell, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Everyone has faced the problem of what gift to choose. What to give yourself when you sit at home. What to give your friend or parents. What to give your wife or husband. And what to give your children or colleague at work. Wooden Puzzles by Unidragon solves this problem. Why do people love Unidragon puzzles so much? Each puzzle piece has its own unique shape. They are interesting for adults and children. Each puzzle is packed in a premium wooden gift box. New puzzles are released every month, and all puzzles are incredibly designed with colorful images. You're looking for a gift with a wow effect. Unidragon Puzzle solves this problem by offering a novelty gift with that wow effect. Your friend, parent, wife, husband, children, or colleague at work will absolutely love this gift. Unidragon Puzzles are unique, stunningly beautiful, fun for everyone, and look great when hung on the wall. Use promo code EFFECT10, that's EFFECT10, for a 10% discount up through October 1, 2021. Again, that's EFFECT10 for a 10% discount. With dozens of styles to choose from, order your Unidragon puzzle today. We want to take a minute and talk to you about Expressvpn. Most people don't know that your internet provider, many websites, and even apps collect all of your data and then sell it to whoever's willing to pay for it. They know what websites you visited, what products you've bought, what products you looked at and did not buy, and some people can even copy your passwords and usernames and then access your private accounts. Expressvpn encrypts all of your data and sends it from their servers, so no one knows where you are. With Expressvpn, people may think you're in Bangladesh when you're really in Chicago. They would think you're in South America when you're really in Detroit. Expressvpn protects you from hackers who try to steal your information, and also from spies who try to use your data for their own nefarious purposes. Expressvpn also allows you unrestricted access to all parts of the internet. How does it work? Expressvpn uses the best-in-class encryption. Whenever you are connected to Expressvpn, every piece of data going in and out of your devices goes through a securely encrypted tunnel and cannot be seen. Not by the government, not by hackers, not by your internet service provider, not even by Expressvpn. Expressvpn also employs IP masking. Every device has a unique IP address, which can be traced back to you. When you use Expressvpn, your connection gets routed through one of their 3,000 plus servers, hiding your real IP address and replacing it with one of their own. This allows you to browse the web truly anonymously. With servers in 94 different countries, you have a wide variety of places you can choose to appear from. Expressvpn also provides 24/7 customer support with live chat, which means your question will be answered within seconds, not hours or days. It is also one of the easiest apps to use. Just open the app, and with one click, you're protected. It is also physically impossible for any of Expressvpn's servers to store logs of any customers. And Expressvpn is a top-rated VPN provider, rated #1 by CNET, The Verge, Wired, TechRadar, and many more. Just go to expressvpn.com/Cory to get 3 extra months free with a 12-month plan. This is a limited-time offer for the Coriolis Effect with Cory Oliver listeners. Again, get 3 months free with a 12-month plan. Go to expressvpn.com/Cory. With ExpressVPN, you can protect all of your digital devices, your computers, your phones, your tablets, everything, and have no more border restrictions. Again, that's expressvpn.com/Cory.
Let's start the show.
Yes. Okay. Well, as you can see, my giant smile on my face. I have a very dear person in studio today, which is amazing. Her name is Elizabeth Reyes.
Thank you.
And she is one of my favorite people on TikTok. And about a year ago, I started sifting through TikTok, and Elizabeth was dancing. And for some reason, the dance videos draw people in. But as I started to watch you, Elizabeth, welcome, I became addicted to your spirit and how wonderful you are and how transparent you were and how you shared your testimony through one video at a time, which a lot of people do on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And you have gained quite a following People love you. And so I would love to, first I want to say welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are you kidding? I'm so grateful that you're here and you took the time, and it just so happened, oddly enough, I do forward your videos on often to a lot of my friends, and my best friend said to me the other day, she said, why don't you have her on the show?
So
and
happy.
I reached out and you said yes.
Yes.
And that was one of those moments that she actually sent me a text before I came in, and she said, I'm very excited for your divine appointment. So it's always
That's
God,
sweet.
and He is
Yes.
good and faithful. And I'm out of the corner of my eye seeing a box of Kleenex that is going to make its way over here, I'm sure. I want to just share with our audience that you have an amazing testimony, and I'm excited to
Thank
talk
you.
about that today. You have spent time in prison.
Yes.
You are sober.
Yes.
You have 3 beautiful children.
Yes.
And you are, as you say yourself, spoken for 35 years.
Yes.
And you're a psych major.
Yes.
And to me, all of those things are amazing.
Thank you so much.
And so I want to start with, if it's okay with you, we can start with the time that your life. Just tell me what you want to know. We want to know about your life, whatever you want to
Well,
share.
I'm pretty much an open book. As you know, I've told stories on the TikTok, but I basically come from what I would consider being a product of the state, because I was actually taken from my biological mother when I was 10. And I was put into the system, and I was adopted. My adoption didn't go so well. At 12, I'm from Texas. I moved to California with my adopted family. Within a year of arriving here, my adopted father had passed away. And this was actually the time in my life when God was really brought into my life through my adopted father, who was Spanish, the name Reyes. And he was Catholic, and my adopted mother was Protestant. So I kind of meshed in both for the 2 short years, 3 years that I was with this family. And then my adopted father passed away, and you could say that the adopted mother and I, we didn't really get along, and I ended up leaving the home when I was about 13 and a half, 14 years old. And I'd been in the streets all my young adult life, my teenage life as homeless for the following 28 years. I became a drug addict. I was in and out of prison for about 14 of those years.
Wow.
And I ended up having 3 beautiful children, one that I ended up losing in the cycle that I was caught in with my mother. My firstborn was adopted, and my other 2 were taken from me, but I ended up breaking the cycle and getting my kids back. Praise God. So,
I love that.
yeah, so it was a history and a cycle that we hear a lot about, terminology out there, people talking about therapy and whatnot. It's a big part, and I was brought into something I didn't know any better about, and by the time I was old enough to figure it out, I had already been in it so long that I was caught. And the fact that I was in California and I didn't know anyone here, and I had no family, and I really didn't have any friends per se. I mean, I had a lot of associates in the drug world.
Right.
You have, everyone's your friend.
Right. Yeah. I think Charlie Sheen's dad calls them sicko fans.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They're addicted to your money.
Yes. And by the way, I wanted to say for the record, for anyone's listening, you are a cancer survivor, and so I forgot to mention that because that's a biggie, and so we'll explain that. But go ahead.
Yes. And so that actually came years later. So it's so ironic, but I ended up doing my last prison term in fire camp believe it or not. I fought forest fires for 4 years, which really
I have that box of
Okay, so-
Kleenex.
The hill behind his house, when we first moved here 4 or 5 years ago, caught fire, and the women's prison fire team came in and helped put it all out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
Here.
it caught fire a week later because it was the gardeners who were doing something wrong, and they came back, and very very good.
Wow, that's awesome. It was the place that helped me to reestablish my integrity and my sense of worth and self-respect, because I was working with these men, out on the line, and we all depended on each other. So it was an opportunity in my life, believe it or not, that was able to teach me about teamwork, and that you don't have to be a solo artist in everything you do in life.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. So it gave me so much. And that's what really kind of kept me on the straight and narrow when I paroled, aside from the fact that I had 2 other children that were depending on me. And I was determined to break that cycle once I really engulfed it and understood it as I got older. These what do you want to call it?
I think it's a generational, I don't want to say curse. Sometimes they can be blessings, but they're generational cycles. I have them too.
Yes.
In my life, with divorce and certain things. It's just a long history of it. And so
Yes.
the fact that you broke it is a blessing, right?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's one of those little miracles that happens in
I knew I was going to
life.
cry this whole interview.
That happen in life. So many people don't really realize, I see so many things every day as a miracle, as God working in our life, And that's pretty much where I came to really understand him and build my own personal relationship with him.
And
Is
how old were
in
you when that
prison.
happened? That was
Well, this wasn't until I was much older. I was around in my late 20s.
Okay.
I'm going to say mid-20s, I think, when I started going to prison. I had been in jail in juvenile hall my entire life. I grew up in the system, really. And in that time frame, I became institutionalized and almost in a sad way became codependent on it. Because prison and jail had became a place of solitude for me from the streets.
almost comforting.
Very.
Right.
It was sick in its own way because I became very institutionalized. And there was at one time in my life when I had really considered spending the rest of my life there. I'm a two-striker. And you would think that hearing that or seeing it on paper that I'm just this horrible person. I have 2 strikes, right? Violence, and I did have a violent, which is what I got the 2 strikes for, from like 20 years previous. But it's just the way it is out there. When you're out there alone, you're trying to survive, and you do stupid things. And I was out there at a time in the 80s especially, when there was all kinds of crazy things going on in the world.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot too right now. But also, I always say this because, drugs are not, they don't define who somebody is in general.
No.
They're a different person when they're on them. And I'm not making that an excuse for it, but that's what happens. If that's not who you were as a person.
It does actually chemically
Absolutely.
change your brain.
Absolutely. And so, that's just a fact. And the fact that you are sitting here today, you don't even know. I'm like, this is,
I'm so
it
thankful.
just blows my mind because I sift through my TikTok when I go to bed. I just like a busy day and I sift through them, and you're one of my favorite people on there. I go on TikTok to see you.
Thank you so much.
Because you have, and we're going to get back to your story, but you have this amazing, you've been through a lot. And so many people have been through a lot, and they have a mess and they turn it into a message, and they have a test and they turn it into a testimony. And you get on there and you dance and you put positive vibes and you put all these beautiful, wonderful things that in this moment of, where the world has been in flux for the last year, you brought a lot of joy to my life. And then with the click of a button, I get to forward it on to my friends, and you bring joy to their life too. So you have gone through a lot. And as I said earlier, you've spent time in prison. You are now sober. You are been in a relationship for 35 years. I usually have a page full of notes. Like you can see, these are all but I don't know much about you. And that's why when you said yes to my TikTok direct message, I literally started crying. I called my friend. You were humbled. So was I.
So humbled. I was. I broke down. I did. When I saw the message, I was just like, oh, I was so overjoyed. I was thankful, really.
Well, this right here, this meeting and appointment is just a small little thing of what God can do if you ask. And my best friend said, why don't you ask her to come on the show? And I'm thinking, oh, she'll never, and you literally within a day or so got back to me and said yes.
Yes.
And so
I was listening to something. I didn't mean to turn.
No, you can't.
I was listening to something on the radio on the way over here, my drive, and he was saying that the theme of the day was can or can't, will or won't.
Ooh, that is so good, Bob. Can or can't, will or won't. And that's why you're here.
Right there.
Because you can, and you did, and you said yes. Mm-hmm. And someone out there is going to listen to this and gain some kind of clarity or perspective or wisdom.
Hope so. Because if I did it, I'm for sure you can do it too. Or anyone who is out there struggling, there is a way if you have the will. And it will find you. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you just do the footwork, which is called of you, do your footwork, the rest will fall into place. Because that's how God works. That's what a miracle is. People seem to think they're looking for these, like,
grandiose,
great things to happen. No, it's a little bitty things every day, and people just aren't in tune with it enough to recognize it for what it is and be thankful for it.
Yeah, you're right. I always say if you blink, you can miss the miracle.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here looking at this miracle who has, I'm not kidding. Like, Bob knows, this is...
I'm so thankful to be here, because this is, for me, I thought this is God working. This is a miracle that was brought to me because, my goal, as in this, is I'm writing a book, and I'm hoping that, I was hoping that this TikTok would give me the,
platform.
Yes, to be able to get to know people get to know me, and maybe they would be interested in buying my book. And then by the time I'm done, I'll have enough people, and if I could get half of those people to buy my book, then that money is what I would take to use to get me founded in what I'm trying to do, which is I want to open a program working with women in particular. But I want it to be like a soup kitchen type of a deal in my community that is working with the homeless as well. And I won't be just, with the women. I work with men as well. Anyone who is seeking the help, I would like to be able to try to guide them. But my program part that I'll start with is with women and trying to help them.
And I think that is so important. We had a guest on who had 3 strikes. And he took it upon himself while he was in prison to reform himself, to really be proactive in his own reform, right, while he was in prison. And so if you can get out of prison when you get out and you want to do something like this,
Yes.
start a program and helping others is, very noble. And I think, and we're going to see that happens for you. I'm
thank
going to
you
be
so
praying for
much.
that. And so what is your book going to be called?
I just want to be heard.
That's a good name.
I can't even.
Yes.
Well, you're here right now, so you get to talk about. I know we can't even talk. It's like this is so supernatural for me.
It really
I know.
is.
I know. And you are here to talk and to tell your story. And so I want you to tell anything and everything that you want to talk about.
It's very touching to know that in all that I have been through, God really is listening to me in my heart.
He cares.
And He knows what I really want. So,
Well, your Bible
even at
says.
60, I think I might be able to accomplish getting it done.
Well, let me tell you, 60 is the new 30. And time is all relative. God's timing is way better than ours. And all of the things that you've been through, which we're going to talk more about, wouldn't have brought you here in this moment. It really wouldn't have. It would maybe have taken you somewhere else, but
Right?
He does say, delight yourself in the Lord and He'll give you the desires of your heart and He will work all things together for His glory. And
Absolutely so true. Because, before I was struck down with the cancer, I was 55 years old. I thought, I had been sober for years. I had turned my life around. I got my children, got custody of my 2 children back. I was working in the studios as a set painter at Fox, CBS, everywhere for 15, almost 20 years.
Wow.
I absolutely loved my job. I was working with the stars, and all my life I grew up fantasizing. That was always my escape as a child, growing up in an abusive home and whatnot, and everything that I went through was always my escapism, was movies. And I'm a big movie buff.
Yeah.
And then here I am. God is so good, right?
Yes.
I got out of prison. I got my kids back. Me and my significant other, who were addicts together. We are 1% that succeed in sobriety. We're working together, got custody of our kids back and everything, and I thought my life was full circle and that I had come where I was supposed to be. Now, at the time, I was having an itch that I wasn't really being satisfied, even though I loved my job, because I realized I wasn't able to pay forward what I had been blessed with in my life. And I needed more. So I started going to college when I was still working in the studio. I was working on How I Met Your Mother at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I was doing an online course. Now, mind you, I dropped out of school in 8th grade. So, for one, I didn't think I was ever smart enough for college. I never attempted. But this was a hoax. I was on a Facebook account. I just got it. Somebody was talking to me. I wanted to know what they were saying. I had to get the points I needed to earn the thing to pay for it. And one of them was a credit score, and the other one was college. And I thought, well, this would be easy because I'm not college material. So the guy calls me, he's whoop whoop. I'm like, yeah. And he gives me some tests to take over the telephone. I told him my history of being an addict, recovered now for years, want to work. He goes, oh, well, here, let's do this. He gives me these tests to take over the telephone. I took them. He calls me back in about 30 minutes. He says, Elizabeth, he goes, you passed with flying colors. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. Well, I give myself some credit. I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't still be here. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to take like some general classes, whatnot. And he says, oh, no. He goes, you're not eligible for that. Your scores were too high.
Really?
Yes, and I was like,
That doesn't surprise me. You're very smart.
Like,
Yes.
but for me, though, I was floored because all those years
You didn't think.
I was so conditioned by the society that I had been brought up in to think that I was unworthy and I wasn't smart enough to be anything better than what I was.
Mm-hmm.
I refused to accept that. And that is where my tenacity came in. But when I found this out, I started doing online college. And I was even good enough that I was able to add a accelerated master's to my bachelor
Wow.
in psychology.
Wow.
And I was 6 classes from graduating when I got cancer. And lucky for me, I had my tonsils still. Because, growing up the way I did.
Wait a minute. I want to stop right there really
Okay.
fast. Say that again. Lucky for me,
I
you
still
have your
had-
tonsils
I
still.
still had my tonsils.
This is a conversation that I have with my daughter all the time. They are there to fight infection.
Absolutely. Do
Thank
not
you.
take them out.
This is a divine appointment. You don't even know.
Do not take them out. Absolutely. I would tell anyone who still has them. You get sore throats, deal with it, gargle, salt, water, lemon, do what you have to do to take care of yourself.
But back in the day, you got
Yes.
one cold and they ripped them right out from you.
Yeah, and
I
they
know.
still kind of do. It's sad. Because if it wasn't for my tonsils, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today.
Really?
Because I was in the studios, and at the time, I was out on a back injury. I'd been out for 2 years on a workman's comp, so I didn't have insurance at the time because our insurance had went from 300 to 400 hours. So I had to go file for Medi-Cal. And in the process, I had been out of work 2 years, so when I started getting the sore throat, I went to the emergency. I had went to the DPSS, and I sat there for 2 days, waited to get this Medi-Cal. I got it. I went to the emergency. The doctor failed to swab my throat is what happened. He just assumed that I had strep throat and an earache. So he prescribed me an antibiotic and sent me on my way. About a month and a half later, the earache came back, but worse. And I went back to the emergency to find out that the Medi-Cal I had was only emergency Medi-Cal. So I had to go back into the office and refile for Medi-Cal. But in that process, I was still working, mind you, on trying to get my back and stuff taken care of. So no insurance anywhere for anything. And I went back and to a urgent care because I couldn't get into the emergency or to see a regular doctor. I paid for it out of pocket. I paid to have my throat swabbed, and it was then about 3 months later that I found out that there was something growing on the end of my tonsil, and it had attached itself to the back of my tongue. Now, this cancer is from HPV. Human papillomavirus. And so in a matter of 10 months, I went from a misdiagnosis to a stage 3.
And tell me exactly why having the tonsil saved your life.
Because the tumor had attached itself to the tonsil, not to my throat. I ended up having... I was completely filleted.
I can see it.
They opened me up. They took out everything from here.
God
They
bless
took out
you.
all my lymph glands in here.
This was 5 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
And they had to take part of my bone, my jawbone, and a sliver part of my tongue where the tumor had. I went from a 0 to almost a 3 millimeter tumor on my tonsil.
That
the
grow
time.
fast. When it grows fast like that, usually that's, yeah.
And I was in a 14-hour surgery, and they had to cut out my tendon.
I see this, yes.
Now my tattoo, which is my mother's name, is in my mouth.
Is it
And that's
really?
what put me back together. So I have 250 stitches. And I can't move my arm. I lost the mobility of my arm, and I have no saliva glands on this side of my body anymore.
Can you taste?
Not really. Not the greatest taste in the world. And then I had made the mistake 2 years after my surgery. I went in to try to get teeth, because I wore dentures prior for my drug addiction all those years. By the time I was 25 years old, I had full-blown dentures. So I had been wearing them 25 years when this happened. Lucky for me, they would have had to pull all my teeth out at the same time and cut my jaw open.
Oh my gosh.
So that saved me tremendous recovery. I'm a very good healer, though.
You sure are. Honestly, you can't even see the
If
scar.
it wasn't for me not having teeth in my mouth,
You would not know.
Dr. Kokot from USC Medical,
Dr.
let me
Kokot.
just throw that out there. The man saved my life, and he worked a miracle on me.
Oh my
He
gosh.
really did.
And it's all, you're in remission, it's gone, it's...
My cancer is gone. As far as we know, everything looks good. My particular type of cancer, if it comes back, it's within a couple of years, but because it wasn't derivative from smoking cigarettes and whatnot, HPV, it attacks women as well in our
female reproductive organs.
reproductive areas. So the few women that I have met that have gotten HPV cancer had hysterectomies.
Yes.
I'm like in a 3% of people that get it in the throat. So he told me if it didn't come back in 2 years, more than likely it won't. But if it did within the 5 years, or after the 5 years,
Yeah.
it more than likely will be somewhere
Else.
else.
And so what was that recovery time for you? Did you have to do chemo or...
I did radical radiation for 45 days, 5 minutes a day. And it was so funny because I had to wear this mask that they put me down on the table that they had to butter my head into. And then the little machine goes, "Doot, doot, doot," from the behind you here. And so from here to here, I had no hair.
I can't believe it because you have one of the most beautiful things I noticed about you on your TikTok. You've got a beautiful head of hair.
That is so funny because, there was a time in my life when I was younger, I hated my hair.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, your hair's
And
beautiful.
I would take it and tie it down so tight in a scarf, and then it was in the 80s, excuse me, and they would do that twisted thing, the workout videos.
Yeah.
Jane Fonda, and she would have that twisted thing, and I'd have one of them wrapped around, and I must have worn my hair like that for, 4 or 5 years growing up in my late teens and early 20s. I hated my hair.
Oh, you've got great curly hair.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we always go there. By the way, she just dropped a name and you did not give me your
It's
button.
only for you.
Oh. When I name drop, he clicks his button.
Oh.
But anyway. So when you... Oh, there's so much I want to know about you. I can't believe you're in studio today, Elizabeth Reyes. So you went through this 4 years ago. And then at what point did you say to yourself, hey, there's this new app called TikTok, and I'm going to get on there, and I'm going to show people that no matter what you've been through in life, there is a God, he's good, and
Good.
I'm going to turn this frown upside down and show some positive vibes.
Yes. This is June of 2020
Okay?
that I got on.
I think I followed you. I was one of your first followers. I'm just saying.
It was so funny because I was in Bishop, California at the time. That's where I run to get away and be with nature and to recoup. I had just got through doing a 6-mile walk, right? Down this long road to where these beautiful horses are down the street from where my friend lives. And I was just going, just not even thinking about it, that it was June and it was going to be hot. And I went out here to go take this walk, and I didn't even take a water bottle with me. And I got all the way down there, and I had to tell my friend to come bring me a water bottle. But she brought me my water bottle, and I walked back because I was determined that I was going to get my mileage in for the day. But by the time I got back and I did the Tik Tok, I looked like I was going to pass out, probably, but I felt like an ox. And come to find out later, that's that Scottish in me, I guess. I get really blotchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to pass out. This is my skin, but that was my first TikTok, and I thought, well, this would be an opportunity for me to share the HPV and the cancer. Because out of everything I've been through, this has probably been
The hardest.
one of the most challenging, for sure. I've said it before, and I know this is probably going to sound crazy, but if I had had a choice, I would rather just...
Of course. Well, you've gone through it, so you know what it's like to have experienced this.
I mean, I had false teeth for years, but the fact that I could get up every morning and put them in my mouth and go about my business and my day has been the most
Challenging.
because I feel like it's taken away my ability, my best ability, which is to talk, because I really hope in the end of all this that I could maybe do some type of inspirational speaking.
You are here inspiring me today, right now. And honestly, you have no idea. This is just the beginning for you. I really feel.
So it's, I'm just, it really brought me to a halt because, as I told you earlier, I was in the studios, I was living my life. It was a dream. A dream. I mean, I was one of maybe a few thousand people that are blessed with an opportunity to have a job that I did, especially coming from the background that I came from.
It's very hard to get in the studios in any capacity.
College degree, I was blessed. That was my significant other. Had been in the studio since he was 18. So I was truly blessed, and I thought my life was just, I was going to maybe, hopefully one day find my daughter. I want her to know, that I messed up, but I love her, and I hope her life was better for the decision that I made. And I just want her to know that it was a cycle I came from, and, if I had an opportunity to ever find my mother, it would just be my wish to let her know that, I don't hate her, that I have forgiven her, because I don't know what she went through in life. I can't even imagine.
Right.
So, I would just hope that to have found her one day, and then I thought my life would have been complete. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with school. I'm still not. I would love to finish it, but I don't know yet what's going to happen with that. And I thought I was settled. I thought my life had turned a leaf learning, but like I told you, I was still being nudged to do more. Because I felt like, okay, this is great, but is that really it? Like, did I really go through all that I went through for it to end this way? Because there's so much I would like people to know out there, especially women, that are out there, babies having babies. And the women that are out there that are being careless, You need to think about what you're doing because you're bringing another human life into this already chaotic world that we live in. And if you're not ready or dedicated and sacrifice your life as you know it when you have that child, then don't do it, please. Because my testimony isn't for people to feel sorry for me. It's for them to see. Hopefully not to make the same mistakes that my mother did, that I did. And please, just think about what you're doing because, that person, me, a grown woman now, 60 years old, that little girl in me, though, is always going to be there.
Yeah, of course.
And that will never change. Time does not heal wounds, people. It only helps you learn how to cope with them better.
Yes.
It doesn't take it away. It will never take it away. People say, oh, get on with it. That's
It's actually very true. And these types of things that you've gone through and that people go through, everyone goes through something, they leave an indelible mark.
absolutely.
And it is how you get through them. And I think that we, can certainly transition into, in this moment, God, because if without him, that God has been my tonsil. He's been my tonsil, because if I wouldn't have gotten through some of my fetal positions without him. And so honestly, in those moments, and you've been through a lot. And, when you are a product of your environment and you're in foster homes and there's no consistency. And one of the things that children need is an environment filled with some kind of consistency and structure.
Yeah, because you always feel broken.
Right.
You can never figure out what's wrong with you.
Right. And you'll turn to other things to try to fill that hole.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And it, as you and I both know, that doesn't fill it. God can fill it.
Yes.
You got to be on those moments where you're coming out to him. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you knew him from an early age, right?
I think he has always been with me, and I had a feeling that there was something. I don't know. I don't want to even put anything on it like greater than myself in it, because at that time I didn't even understand what it was.
Yeah. No, but what's interesting about your story is that God did. God knew where you were going to go, what you were going to go through, and the choices that you would make that would lead you just right here today. Yes. And, the foster home that you went into and gave you 2 years of background of him, of teaching him about you, right? Or teaching you about him, I should say. That everything happens for a reason.
Yes. That was the beginning of the turning point for me. It was instilled. The seed had been planted. I was doing catechism and Holy Communion for my Holy Communion and everything, So obviously at 10 years old, I had no idea what I was studying. It was just confusing.
Yeah.
And, but that seed was planted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And then through life, it just gets watered. Mm-hmm. Right?
And it was prison, that I went in and I learned. I wanted to know more.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know about this God. I wanted to know about Jesus, how it worked, and so I studied. I always, utilized my time when I was in prison. Mm-hmm. I always learned something.
How long did you serve, if you don't mind me asking?
Over a course of 13 years, I did 4 terms on 2 numbers.
Okay. And the longest was 4 years, 5 years?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
but I did 80% of my time on that one.
And that was how long ago?
1999 I paroled. It was 1996, the end of 96 when I was arrested. And I paroled in 1999.
1999, how long ago was that? That was
21 years ago.
And you've been with your significant other for 35. So this guy sounds like a good guy to me.
He's been around
a long time,
He's
right?
been around.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and we stuck it out, you know. We stuck it out.
What would you attribute that success to, having been with him now for 35 years and gone through a lot? You guys have been through a lot, right?
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
You know, all my children, father's the father of all my children, so he lost his daughter too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just what brought us together in the first place was that our souls, there was, you know, we were brought together for a reason because we both needed something from each other. And it just stood the test of time.
I love that.
Right?
I mean, listen, Bob, I can't, I'm like in awe right now of this woman.
It's an amazing story.
It is truly, you know, most people don't go through one thing that you've gone through in this, you know, a lot of people, they'll go through one thing, but having conquered so many, you know, things, prison, the loss of a child, cancer, you know,
I
being
believe that's
sober.
a testament, though.
It's your testimony for sure.
That is a testament, right?
Yes.
That God is real, people. How can you not hear everything that I'm speaking and not know that there's got to be something greater than whatever you choose to call it?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's, you know, you have certainly been through the fire, and through it you get refined, right? Isn't that the whole thing, is we get to share this life of ours? It's a test.
Right? And that's the hope that everyone sees what I'm trying to say here and finds him, because he is the answer to all of our problems.
And he's a healer. And I say this all the time.
People need to believe. Sorry.
No, they do. You do never apologize for that. Are you kidding? This is Bob knows.
Yeah.
I keep hearing in my life, my people will perish for a lack of knowledge. And it is important right now to put your eyes on the prize, which is him.
Right.
You know, things of this world, they're, you know, it says feast your eyes on things that are lovely, things that are noble, and things that are pure. That these things of the world, they will just
come and go.
Yes, but that's a constant.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you've walked through the valley, he's been a constant in your life.
He was the one carrying me, like the footprints in the sand, right? Absolutely.
And so now you have 100 and... I'm looking this up right now. I know,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I know, I'm not really, it's not, obsessed is not a...
I still can't believe it. I really, I'm just still like,
Okay,
wow.
for those of you out here, Elizabeth, her TikTok handle is at wi_EEZY hotmail.com. And it's Elizabeth, and she has 136.9 thousand TikTok followers.
Wow, it's so hard.
Yes, we're going to give a clap on that, because you started out with just a dance, and you know, and
It's
I watch you every
amazing.
day, every single day, because you are an
so
inspiration
kind.
to me.
Thank you so much.
And
It means so much. It really does, so much more than you could ever imagine. It's so funny because until I found TikTok, you know, we don't ever see ourselves the way that other people see us. And I wasn't seeing everything that everybody has been telling me, you know, how beautiful I am. And
you are. And you know what I want to say to this right now? I know this show is so emotional for both of us, but it's to be vulnerable and brave enough to have the courage to put yourself out there in any kind of a way for anyone to do that with the resume that you have. To me, that you are braver and stronger than anyone I know. That is a gift that you're giving others. And it's beautiful. And
You're giving me so much
I can't
more.
thank you enough.
It's just so ironic because those things aren't what I saw. My confidence comes in my ability and my capabilities, what I know I'm capable of doing. And I'm the type of person that has that integrity that, be it I'm going to work in the studios or I'm going to be a cashier at the AM/PM, which I was for a while. When I was in the workman's comp phase with my back injury, because I needed to work. I'm going to be the best of whatever it is that I'm doing. And so that's where my confidence comes, I guess. That's what people see. I never attributed that to my looks. You know what I mean? So it was really in the beginning, and it still is at times, hard for me to go through and read it because it just overwhelms me.
You have a lot of people that love you. How do you pick the music that you...
Now, that's a very good question.
Yeah,
I'm
because
happy
I've
you
seen
asked
every
me.
video.
I try not to repeat the same song if I can. I do have a little bit of an issue sometimes with TikTok for that because some of the music that I'm picking isn't in the copyright or whatnot, so it gets silenced. But all the music that I play...
Oh, that's why, because some of your videos I'll see, you're dancing, but I can't hear the music, so
Yeah.
that's why.
They
they mute
silence
them,
it.
right.
They
Okay.
mute them because of the copyright laws. Or
okay.
and the artist may be in their library, but it may not be that particular song,
right.
or that stripped of the song.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so, but this is how music I grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in the disco. I grew up in bars.
Yeah, the
I
disco.
started stripping when I was 13.
Well, let me tell you something. That explains it all, because I'm like, my best friend and I are like, girl can dance. She has got the moves. I'm like, but you are infectious, and you make others, you just brighten my day.
I just love the music. I let the music take me. Music really is a universal language. It's so funny because as I grew up, it was very difficult for me being a 14-year-old prostitute working in the sex trade industry. I didn't have friends, especially girlfriends. They didn't want me anywhere around their boyfriends. And, I couldn't, men were just, and so I didn't have a whole lot of, like, socializing skills, I guess you could say, for one, And so that made it hard for me in the beginning. And then as time went on, I realized that I would never be that other kind of girl. I was going to be who I am, and I just had to accept it and move on, and that's what I was trying to do. But then the cancer hit, and apparently my expertise, which happens to be most of my life in the sex trade industry, is to help other women so that they hopefully don't get caught up in the glamour of it all like I did. Because that's what was so enticing to me as a young child. Well, aside from the fact that my mother was a stripper and I was raised in the environment, but I already had my foot in the door, kind of, so to speak. But
And did you ever find your mother after? Or no, you didn't.
No. I got taken from her when I was 10, and I've never seen her after they finalized everything, the last court date.
Was it a closed adoption, or was that something that you could...
I don't even know.
You don't know.
I don't even know. And I'm going to be honest, I just never bothered to look. I don't know. I guess I just felt like there was no need. It was what it was. I don't know that I would ever have a relationship with her today.
Yeah.
I just don't know that she's even alive. But I would rather spend my time and my energy in trying to find my daughter. at least put my information out there for her and see what happens.
Okay, and so let's talk about that for a second. She is out there.
Yes.
Okay.
She was adopted in Lancaster.
Okay, was it a
From
closed
Van
adoption?
Van Nuys Court. I don't know.
You don't know.
I was, I was in prison at the time, and I don't know. I was homeless, and I just thought that it was the best thing for me to let her go at the time. And that's what I did. So.
Well, I'm going to pray that somehow, some way, God creates that divine appointment because, there's a longing, I would imagine. I have one daughter.
Yes.
And I literally long for her when she's 2 hours away at school.
Yeah. So I can only imagine. It's a big part of my codependency issues I have right now at home. It's like I did a post just the other day or two about how, being in sobriety doesn't necessarily mean that life is going to just get better. I mean, life has its own agenda. Mm-hmm. I thought I had it going on, like I've mentioned a few times. But then God has something else in store for me, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So it's not for me to forget, apparently.
No.
It's for me to utilize it to help others. I'm taking it.
It is. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. If you can turn your pain into your purpose, then the pain was worth it, even if it's just to help one person.
Find meaning in the suffering is what life is really all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you
so
have
that we can help others, not make the mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, truly. I mean, Bob, you're silent over there because are you blown? I know.
Totally engrossed in the conversation. Yeah.
I know, right? It's just like just a week ago I was on TikTok and reached out to you, and you're here now.
I'm so humbled. I
can't.
Really am. I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Oh.
That's what I saw it as, like a huge opportunity, like a miracle. I really did.
I love that.
I really did.
Now, so how much, we're going to wrap up shortly, but how much of your book do you have written? Because I would love to, if we can, once you get that book written, come back on. Share the book with our listeners. We have so many wonderful people that listen to the show. Thank you.
I'm diving in. I just got to the loss of my adoptive father because that was very, very difficult for me. It was, you mentioned it's not just been one thing necessarily for me. It's been a numerous amount of things over a period of time. And that was one of them because here I was adopted and I thought my life was going to change and everything was going to be wonderful. And then it just so happened that my adopted mother really didn't want to have children. Mm-hmm. And so there was arguing going on when we moved to California. And I started acting out and I had gotten suspended from school for smoking cigarettes. And so I was restricted. I had to come straight home from school. But it was messing in my time with my friends who I was starting to hang out with in the parks and, drinking and smoking the pot and all that and hanging out in the movie theaters in the back. And I was starting to get in trouble. And so they were going to the park that day, and I wanted to go, and I was so mad that I didn't get to go. And so I had to go home, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go in my room and I'm going to do my homework. Well, I walked into the house, and my mom was in the kitchen putting contact paper in the cupboards, and my dad was sitting on the couch where he always sat at the end there reading his newspaper. He had been retired because he had heart problems prior to my meeting him and the family. And so I was asked to go into the kitchen with my mother to help her do this. She had been disabled. She had polio when she was a child, so she only had one arm that worked. So I was upset. I went into the kitchen. I'm helping her put the contact paper in, and we got into an argument, and I went to call her a bitch. And I never spoke to her that way, or anyone that way. And she slapped me, and slapped me good. But what ended up happening was my adoptive father wanted to know what was going on. And as he walked into the kitchen, he fell and had a massive heart attack, and then died in the hospital about a week later. And now, at the time that this happened, psychologically, I wasn't taking it in at all. I just knew that I was left with this woman that didn't want me. And I wasn't gonna, I just didn't want to be there. So I left. And that was when I parted ways.
How old were you?
I was 13 and a half, almost 14 years old. Just turning 14 years old. And I only saw her once after that. Many years later, I was pregnant with my firstborn. And I had been homeless. And I ran into her on the bus. It was the most ironic thing ever. Like, I'm telling you, this book is going to be...
Oh, my gosh.
the
I
most
cannot
insane
wait.
thing you've ever heard. Like, people are going to really be going, like,
There's
come
gonna
on.
be a movie
like
or
that.
something.
I couldn't make it up.
No.
So I went to the house. I showered. I was about 8 months pregnant at the time. I was still drugged out. My daughter was born with drugs in her system. That's why that's why she was taken away from me. This is back in 1989 when they had just passed the law. And I never saw her again after that. That was almost 38 years ago.
Did you see her? Did you talk to her? You just saw her?
I saw her. Went to her apartment where she lived with her mother. Took a shower.
Oh, you went. I see. Okay.
And then that was the last time I ever saw her. And I hadn't seen her then for almost, 13, 14 years at that point.
Wow. Gosh, there's so much to your story.
And so I haven't seen her again. I tried to call her when I was pregnant with my second daughter. And I was homeless. And I was down on the railroad tracks. And I just didn't have anywhere to go, and I tried to contact her through my aunt. And I was told that she didn't want to have anything to do with me, so I've never spoken to my adopted family since. And it's so ironic because my adopted family, my cousin, was a famous baseball player who died of a cocaine overdose when I was 7 years sober.
Really?
I never got to speak to him. I had never spoke to my family since I left.
This is your birth cousin, or your
This is my
adoptive cousin. Okay.
My adopted cousin.
Okay. Wow.
His name was Rodney Beck.
Do you know
He
who that
played
is?
with the San Francisco
Giants. Yes, Rodney Beck.
He was
in the 80s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
I was in Philly in the 80s, so yeah.
I was a Giants fan. I catch you. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It's just insane. My story is really crazy.
It's going to be a great book.
It's going to be an amazing book, and it's going to be I Just Want to Be Heard. That's what your book's going to be called, right? I Just Want to Be Heard.
I just want to be heard. I just want people to hear what I'm really trying to say.
Well, I just wanted you to come here so I could just hear what you
I'm
had
so
to say
thankful.
today. And I'm so grateful for you. And I know that I could go on and on and on, but we were going to have you come back. Once you get this book written, you're going to come back and we're going to give a copy. We will buy a copy and we will give a copy away to one of our listeners and your TikTok fans, because I know you have a lot of them. And
Thank you so much.
I can't thank you enough for being here today. I have a couple questions for you that we always end on.
Okay.
I would love to know 3 words that describe you. I got a thumbs up from Bob.
You got it right.
I did.
Let's see. Perseverance. Tenacity. And most definitely positivity.
Yes.
Yes.
That's one of the things I'm drawn to on your TikTok, because you always put positive vibes. And I'm like, I love that. And believe me, there have been moments when I've been having just a terrible, terrible, terrible day, and I go on and you brighten my day.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Are you kidding?
I'm just so honored. I really am. Thank you.
It's me that is honored, truly. I would love to know. This is a silly little question, and it can be anyone or anything. It's usually our last question, but who is your celebrity crush? And it doesn't have to be somebody that you, because I know you have a significant other that sounds like a pretty great guy for 35 years, but it could be somebody you admire, whatever they're doing, or.
Wow. I think, there's so many. Oh my gosh, that's hard. I think one of my biggest fans, I'm a biggest fan of, obviously, is Marilyn Monroe. She's just like my idol. She is just my go-to girl.
Yeah.
I loved her, still love her.
Mm-hmm.
She's tattooed on my back.
Ooh.
She's all over my house because to me she just embodies everything I feel a woman should be. She was beautiful. She was intelligent.
And that's one of the things people don't realize about her. She, I did a lot of research.
Very intelligent woman.
Very intelligent woman. And when I had another show, I did a lot of research on her and some of the items that would come on that show. And she was very, very smart.
Yes, she was.
But she was also a woman.
Yes.
That's how I feel like women, she embodied all of her womanness. So that's a great one.
You don't have to show everything off to be beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's sad that that's kind of where society is going.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just, to me, it was just everything, all that.
Yeah,
And,
that's a good one.
She was so smart. And then we had the common story as well.
A lot going on, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I look forward to reading your book. I would like to purchase the first copy.
Pre-order?
Yes, I'll pre-order it. But what do you want to say to your TikTok fans? Because I'm going to post this on my Insta. I don't have a lot of TikTok fans, but I don't have any. Really, I have a few. I don't really work TikTok. It's a full-time gig.
Grander.
But I do Instagram. And so I will be promoting this on that.
I think the people that are on TikTok, because it's such a big thing, I think that people can have a tendency to get drawn into it and then get lost once they get into it. Mm-hmm. If you can stay focused, if you're really trying to be a creator or someone like myself that's trying to do something, try to keep that theme
going
through your stuff, have fun with it and everything, but all at the same time, don't get too caught in it because you never know when the plug may get pulled, right? And so,
we know what that's like.
Yeah, try to have something else going on too, which most do. They have Instagram and everything. I'm just not that tech yet.
I think you're doing a great job.
I'm working hard at it, but I still have a lot to learn.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming today. I can't thank you for saying yes.
It was my pleasure.
And I can't thank you for persevering and having the tenacity that you've had in life. I know you've suffered great loss, but I really feel like your best days are ahead and God has a huge plan and purpose for you. I look forward to following you and seeing, and you've got a friend in me. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And we're out.
The Coriolis Effect is produced by JS Productions, with host Cory Oliver, producer-editor Bob Victor, and assistant editor Cade Bombsell.
Hi guys, I'm Cory Oliver, and thank you for watching The Coriolis Effect. We hope you enjoyed the previous episode. Here are some more episodes you might enjoy. Hit the subscribe button below, and have a great day.